This is Tokka from the IDW TMNT comics, and I'm going to show you how I made him. I have Hulk from the Avengers action figure. He's a 6-inch figure, and I 3D printed this shell. It was like a big turtle shell. I shrunk it to size, and now I'm using my torch lighter to heat up where his shoulders are on the shell, so he's got more room to move his arms. Now, instead of building the whole thing out of epoxy clay, I made a bunch of little pyramids out of aluminum foil. And then I knew it probably wasn't going to work, but I tried to super glue them on, and it didn't work. And then I tried, because I had that lighter, just to heat up a glue stick, because I don't like to wait for the glue stick to glue gun to heat up. Eventually that's the best option, and I ended up using it in the end. I thought I could find something easier, but now I have Apoxie Sculpt, and I flattened it out with a rolling pin, and I cut a bunch of little sections that I go on each spike individually, and then I go in with some little pieces to get any where I missed and that I could see. And the next step, he's gonna have long clawed fingers and toes. This Hulk figure has closed hands, and I took off his head. So I sanded down with my Dremel, and then I drill holes. I just stabbed myself on that last hole by accident, so I took a break, and now the holes are ready. I used more foil to do kind of the shape of his head, but skinny, and then I wrapped clay around it, Epoxy Sculpt. And the eyes, those are, when I have extra Epoxy Sculpt, I roll it into balls that I can use for future eyes, because it's easier if the eyes are already hard and solid. Otherwise, when you push it in, you're just gonna smudge it, and it's harder to make an eye. But I do a bunch of lines and detail with the X-Acto knife, and I added a bunch of little spikes on his head, and that's what I'm going for. I show clips of the comic, just panels. I'm doing a little sanding on the beak area, but it's still a little too skinny and narrow. Then to fill in some of the shell I use, it's just EVA foam floor mats, scraps, and then fill the rest in with the glue gun, and also the glue from the glue gun is holding it together until I sculpt it as part of him. So one big shell all the way around. And so I have more Epoxy Sculpt that I'm flattening out, and then I cut just the tips off of a whole bunch of toothpicks. Those are going to go with super glue into the holes that I drilled, and those are going to be the new fingers and toes, because he's going to have much bigger feet to hold the weight of his shell. Plus I put a lot of for his front shell or plastron or undershoot, I made that pretty thick so that it'll be balanced the weight of his shell. And I also added some more to his heel, so it's bigger on the back of his foot. But I put a bunch of Epoxy Sculpt onto the toothpicks. Then I put the nails that I had 3D printed into Epoxy Sculpt, and then connected the two pieces together. Then, because I was running out of time, I used Milliput, which only takes 4 hours to dry, and I filled in a bunch more spots. And next is Spackling. So this is to fix small holes in drywall, but it dries in 15 minutes, and it sands really easy. And so after I put some on, I just wet my finger a little bit, and I can just smooth out all the little cracks and blemishes. But on his wrists and forearms and shins, I put a whole bunch, and then I crumpled up some foil to make parts sticking out, because he's got, I don't know, kind of spikes going on. I had also put some on his forearm with regular Epoxy Sculpt. And now I had a white primer. I just did his eyes and his nails. I just did a rough job on his nails so that they look gritty. And now I'm mixing for his shell color. I'm going to do him all in the dark color, and that's the main color of his shell. It's a dark bluish green, but really close. That only shows his face there. But then I just add white to that color that I had started with, and that gives me his lighter skin color, but the similar shade. And then that was pretty much where I thought I'd be done. I was going to do the wraps on him and then do his pupils, but I would have only had a day and a half to do 3 days worth of editing video, and I thought I missed some stuff, so I added his 4th toes on each foot, because I don't know why I didn't do that from the beginning. And then I filled in his head a bit to make it a little bigger. Now I have a blue wash that I made to brighten up. I still want him that dark, but I want him to have a little more of a blue tint. And then I mixed some of that blue tint or wash plus a little bit of that Christmas green to lighten up and brighten up the lighter color that I made for his skin there. And I'm just going over all his skin again to make it kind of stand out more, because in the light you really see the difference between the two colors, but my apartment is underground and it's really dark, so I want it to be a little more vibrant, but it really didn't make much of a difference. Now I have hockey stick tape. It's a fabric tape that you use for your hockey stick on the blade and on the top where you hold it, and since it's a fabric tape, it's great to do stuff like wraps or fabric stuff. And I just cut a whole bunch of thin long strips, or some short strips are easier, but then you have to do a lot more and you see where it overlaps. But I just did all his wraps out of that, and for where it's hanging I just folded it onto itself so that it's not sticky anymore in that part that it's hanging. Now I'm covering, I had gone with a paint marker to do the pupils in the eyes. I did off camera the red in the eyes. That was satin engine red, but then I'm covering all the wraps now with the gray wash, because I didn't want to use the black wash because I don't want him too dark, because he's already so dark. That's Tokka. I made him like a year ago, and it was just now I got that Hulk figure for half price. I was like, what am I going to do with them? And I saw Tokka. I was like, he needs his friend, and it's the perfect size, because I was waiting until I had a figure the right size to make him his friend. Yeah. That's what happened. So that's how I made him. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks a lot for watching. And until next time, remember, always keep your head up. Peace.